Hi there, everybody, and welcome back to video number 2 in this super fun orientation suite. I am Stacy Collins, the Research and Instruction Librarian for Social Work, and your hostess with the mostest awesome t-shirts. And we're going to be talking a little bit about research as a process in this video. And this is primarily for the folks who might be feeling a little nervous or unsure about what research sort of entails and kind of what it's for. So anybody that's looking for sort of those practical steps, how-tos, I suggest you hop on over to video number 3. This is going to be more of an unpacking of what research is. All right, so somebody told you that you had to do research. It happens to the best of us. I'm sorry. And some of you might be thinking, why though? Why do I have to do research? What does searching in databases and slogging through articles have to do with the work that I want to do as a social worker? These are all good questions, and we're going to answer them. And let's start with thinking about social work scholarship as a conversation, right? So not just databases and not just articles that we have to read that are really long and kind of boring, but rather an ongoing conversation. So the folks that make up the field that you're now a part of as social work students, they're all talking to each other. Practitioners, nonprofit researchers, clinicians, advocates, and expert faculty. They are all presenting their new ideas and engaging in critical discussion by writing and publishing in articles, in books, etc. Now, of those folks, the ones who are working on theories, trying out new treatment or intervention ideas, or bringing established treatments and intervention ideas to new problems, they report on their successes and failures, so the rest of us know, right? So we got new ideas and critical discussion. We've got successes and failures, so that the rest of us are informed what's working and what's not. And then all of these folks, and you as well as students, you identify and you write about gaps in the field as well. So they might be big gaps, they might be little gaps, but all of them can only be interrogated and addressed if we talk about them, right? So some folks write articles to literally say, this is something we're not talking about and we need to be, okay? So especially when we're talking about there's a gap in the populations that social workers are serving effectively, that's important, right? So all of this big scholarly conversation that's happening among everyone in the field is extremely important, and it's something that all social workers end up relying on, okay? Whether they're helping a client deal with a particular set of circumstances, or they're standing on the Senate floor advocating for a vital piece of legislation, or if they're building a syllabus for a course. Tapping into this big ongoing conversation, otherwise known as doing research, is an essential part of the job. Okay. So research, engaging with and participating in this field-wide conversation is important. So important that not only does your program include a ton of opportunities for you to practice doing just that, but we also make sure that you have tons of support, including me and the library. But, and this is important, so pay close attention, it turns out that you already know how to do research, and you're actually pretty good at it. Now, just in case you don't believe me, I'm going to prove it to you. Think about when you need to find information in everyday life. What are the movie times for a particular movie at your local theater? What's the best way to get rid of a cold? Which insurance plan is best for you, right? Think about where you would look or who you would ask to get answers to these questions. And some places and people probably make more sense than others, depending on which question we're talking about. Think about how you would articulate what you're looking for to somebody that you're trying to ask, or to a website or a search engine. And finally, think about how you would evaluate the information that you get back and that you find. How do you know when you've found a good and reliable answer? So the point is that all of that is research. Maybe you haven't done it as much with databases and articles, but you have done it in everyday life and you're really good at it. I'd even wager that most of those steps, asking questions, finding information, evaluating what you find based on your needs, are almost second nature to you. You don't even think about those steps each time you do them. So you'll be using some new tools and maybe putting your skills to a slightly new purpose, but I and the other librarians are here to help you connect your already existing awesome research skills to the work you'll be doing in the program and eventually out in the world as a social worker. Now, I can already hear some of you saying, out in the world as a social worker, I don't really want to do anything that has to do with research. I don't want to be an advocate on the Senate floor. I don't want to be writing articles. I want to be working with people. Maybe even I have a particular population in mind that I'm really committed to serving once I'm out of school. And that is fantastic, but I promise you it will involve research, right? You can't serve a client to the best of your ability unless you chap in and see how has their problem been addressed before. You may already be familiar with, or if you're not, you will certainly encounter this idea of evidence-based practice, the idea that we go through a cycle of what works best for our client, what are some of the best practices that have come out of the field, will they work for our client, and then reporting back, did it work or did it not? That's evidence-based practice. That's you taking evidence, saying, I'm going to try this, and then reporting back, did it work? And that adds to the pile of evidence, right? So the research process is extremely important for that because essentially that is the research process. Having a question, finding information, and then evaluating what you find, using it, and then reporting back, was it good? Did it work? Okay? So hopefully, and I realize it's a little bit rambly, but hopefully this has given you sort of a clearer way to think about what research is, and what you're really doing when you engage in it, right? It sounds like sort of this big, really like formal process, and it's really not. It's really the same process you use every day when you need to find information. You're just using it with specific tools and for specific purposes in this case. Okay? So I'll wrap up by saying that the research you'll do in practice doing in the program is about honing these skills that you already have, but it's also about developing your own critical voice, okay? The research you'll do and use in papers and assignments will ultimately ground your synthesis and your conclusions, okay? So as much as this scholarly conversation is made up of folks who have already said things, who are experts in the field, who have been talking about different topics and writing about them for some time, your research and looking into that conversation is about supporting your own critical voice so that you can say, here's the current conversation and here's what I think about it, or here's how I'm going to use it to add to it and take this conversation to a new place. Okay? And this is sort of where research skills meet writing skills, and I can't recommend the Writing Center highly enough or strongly enough. Strengthening your critical voice and adding it to the scholarly conversation is how social work grows as a field. It's how social work gets better at doing what it does. And your faculty, the Writing Center, the library, and definitely me, we're all here to help you do exactly that.